Konnichiwa. Patrick here. Hisashiburi. Hisashiburi means long time no see. And that is not very true because we saw each other yesterday. This is my little Halloween costume here. This is a hammerhead shark costume. Just thought I would try something a little bit different. Hello, Lamia. Hello, Judy. Good to see you guys here. Hello, Mariana. Good to see you again. And anybody else who's joining, let me know where it is that you're watching from. Good to have you here. So today is day 2 of the Dashi cooking challenge. So I hope you guys are excited. Hope you guys learned a lot yesterday. I have a lot of stuff ready to go for you today, as you can see. Let's start with the theme. So Dashi is what we're going to be using, like we did yesterday. I have the same stuff. So this is the Niban Dashi. And by the way, let me know if you can hear me okay. Just want to verify that. Barbara, welcome. Welcome to the party. Halloween, some Halloween costumes going on right now. I bought a bunch of them just to try things out. I don't know if you guys are dressing up for Halloween or not. Let me know. I'm going to go ahead and take this off so it doesn't distract you too much. So there's my head just sticking out. So first thing that I wanted to do, I actually am missing an ingredient for the okonomiyaki, which is what I was going to make today. If you didn't notice, you guys can hear me, right? I didn't get a response, so I just want to make sure you guys can hear me all right. Let me know. I'm going to go ahead and start with the Niban Dashi. We're going to make miso soup, like I mentioned. And let me make sure you guys can hear me. I'm going to go ahead and start this Niban Dashi. Okay, good. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Mariana. So this is 2 cups of Niban Dashi. This is the lighter. It's a second extraction, so the flavor is not as strong. And we're going to start our cooking challenge with some miso soup. This is red miso, so it's brown. Even though it's called aka miso or red miso, it's usually brown. So this is how it looks. Let me show you what that looks like. I need to be careful with the stove. I hope I don't want to catch my costume on fire. But usually what I do is I'll put in the dashi first. And so I guess a couple things about miso. If you guys have not cooked with miso very often, or you don't know much about it, there's 2 very, I guess, popular types. One is white miso and one is brown or red miso. That's what this is. You got to be careful which kind you buy because sometimes it actually has dashi in it. It'll say it in kanji. So if you can't read Japanese, you might want to be familiar with the characters or just ask somebody. You can ask me if you want, just take a picture of it and send it to me, I'll tell you. And if your miso has dashi in it, then you don't need to use dashi. You would just add water to the miso paste and that would be it. So this is wakame, dried seaweed. So this is a little bit different than kombu. It's a lot smaller and it doesn't have as robust of a flavor. But this is what I like to put into my miso soup. So you can see it's very, very thin. If you guys can see the picture there. I just put in a few pieces just to give a little bit of texture. And because it's dry, it takes a little bit of time to hydrate. So I'm just going to put a little bit there. And then I'll throw in some green onions. So I have some chopped green onions to go, ready to go. Just going to put in like a tablespoon. Nothing too major. And yuba. So if you've never heard of yuba before, this is actually dried yuba, which is tofu skins. I got these in Japan. They are very time consuming if you've ever made yuba before from soy milk. Basically, you have to simmer your soy milk on the stove and you gradually let a skin form on top. It takes maybe like 5 to 10 minutes roughly. And then you pick it up and then you put it on a plate. But this is the stuff that I got. So this is Kyo yuba, it says. So Kyoto is famous for tofu cooking as well as their yuba. So this is what this is. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some hot water on here to reconstitute it. So you can see it comes in sheets. So I don't know if you've ever seen this before. It's very fragile. I accidentally broke some. And it tastes really good. So very light in flavor and very healthy because it's tofu. So I'm just going to add some hot water here. You're supposed to let it soak for about 3 minutes. You can also soak it in dashi. We're just reconstituting it. So you can see here, I just put that water, and it's gonna start to get thick. And then we'll add it to our miso soup. So it's a good way to change things up if you're used to eating tofu or aburage, other types of tofu products in your miso soup. And have you guys made miso soup at home before? Let me know in the comments. I would like to know. Judy says, I'm making her nervous about my sleeves. I know, they're kind of big. They're actually fins. These are my fins. As if I was swimming. But yes, maybe I should roll my sleeves up. You're probably right about that because I don't have a fire extinguisher. So if I were to catch on fire, I'd have to roll around on the ground. Okay, so as soon as this starts to boil, that's when you want to put in your miso paste. You don't want to put it in early because miso is very delicate. If you're not aware, the flavor and aroma will get lost. So that's why you never want to boil your miso when you put it into your soup. So key tip there. That's one of the reasons why they always, at good Japanese restaurants, they serve the miso soup covered so that you can enjoy the aroma. I don't know if you guys like the aroma, but I love the aroma. Let me know if you guys like the aroma in the comments. Okay, so here's how the wakame looks after it gets water. You can see how it blew up in size. It's a lot bigger than it was initially. That's why I don't put too much in. Just put a little bit in there. And the ratio of miso paste to dashi, or water, whatever it is that you're using, I usually do 1 cup to 1 tablespoon. So the Japanese cup is different from an American cup. So if you didn't know, the Japanese cup is 200 mils versus the American cup is 240 mils. So you might end up with a stronger or weaker miso soup depending on how much you use. And obviously you can adjust it to your liking. So my recommendation is just starting with 1 tablespoon per cup. And as soon as you add in the miso, turn off the heat, stir it in so that it's dissolved. There's actually there's a little strainer that you can buy that helps you dissolve the miso in the pot. I don't have one, I just stir it in. And then as soon as you mix it up, just cover it with a lid if you're not going to eat it right away. That way you won't lose any of the aroma, the delicate aroma, which is so tasty and delicious. So, all right. So any tips on miso that you guys have? Any questions that you have on making miso soup? It's one of the easiest things that you can make, and you should always make it at home if you are into soup or if you're having like a Japanese themed meal. It's super easy. Like I said, it's just 2 ingredients, water, dashi, and the miso paste, and whatever it is that you're using. So here's how it looks right now after everything got mixed in. And it tastes so much better than what you can get at restaurants. Usually like the American, Japanese restaurants usually serve like a very dilute and unflavorful miso, but if you make it at home, you can make it nice and strong and enjoy its full flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this because we're not going to eat it right away. And actually, I'm going to take off my costume, so just give me a second. Okay, so like I mentioned, I am missing an ingredient. I get my groceries delivered sometimes by Amazon. My Amazon order is not here yet. I don't know where they're at. And I need eggs to make the okonomiyaki. So we can get some of it started while we wait. So looks like, Mariana, you make a miso soup every week. It's pretty good. Barbara says, you've only made it from packets. Well, hopefully this will inspire you to make it from scratch because it tastes much better than the packets. So hopefully you can give this a try if you're ready for it. So if you're wondering what I have here, let me put the yuba in. So the yuba is just about done. If you guys can see here, it's gotten a lot thicker than it was. And it's very soft. It's almost like, I don't know how you would describe it. There's not really, I don't know if there's really any kind of a Western food that's similar to yuba. It's very, very unique. So I'm going to go ahead and add this into the miso soup since it's about done. And then we'll get started with the okonomiyaki. Let me know in the comments if you guys have made okonomiyaki before. Okonomiyaki is I guess you could call it like a Japanese pancake. And literally translated, it means like what you grill, or grill how you like it. And you can pretty much make it however you want. There's different styles. There's the Hiroshima style, Hiroshima fu style. Hiroshima fu means Hiroshima style. Hiroshima is a city in the southern part of Japan. And then there's also the Kansai style, or Osaka style, which is one of the major cities in the middle of Japan. And their techniques are a little bit different. So Barbara says she's always wanted to make it. Welcome, Alice. Just getting started making the okonomiyaki here. So yeah, if you're not familiar, Kansai style, they mix everything together. But for Hiroshima style, they layer all of the different things on top of each other. So they'll do like a bottom layer of the pancake. They might put some cabbage, some noodles, or yakisoba noodles, which I have here, I was planning to use. And then another layer of vegetables or meats or shrimp, cheese, and then another layer of the pancake on top. And sometimes you can put like an egg. You can do like a sunny side up egg on top of it, and then top it with some aonori, which is like a seaweed, dried seaweed. So this is what it looks like. You can just sprinkle it on top. It has a very mild flavor, as well as katsuobushi flakes, the same stuff that we use to make dashi, and then mayonnaise. So this is Kewpie mayonnaise, as well as okonomiyaki sauce. So you can buy it pre-made, or you can make it yourself, which I'll show you guys how to do today. So get excited. Mariana says, I've had okonomiyaki many times, but I've actually never made it. So yes, Osaka is known for delicious okonomiyaki. And I'll tell you, on the last trip that I went there, we went to one of the more popular restaurants. I forgot what it was called, but we waited for about 30 minutes to get in. I think it's because it was in the Michelin guide, so there was a lot of tourists trying to eat there. It was okay. It was okay. I think I actually personally like Hiroshima style a little bit more than Osaka style. I'll admit that. I don't know if you guys have had both styles before, but that's my preference. I like to put in the yakisoba noodles and also layer it. But today we're just going to do Kansai style. It's a little bit simpler. So yeah, octopus. Looks like Judy likes octopus. Mmm, delicious. Yes, shaved bonito flakes, absolutely. Okay, so I need to get my batter started. So what we're going to be using for the batter, this is 2 cups of all-purpose flour, about a 1/4 cup of nagaimo, or yamaimo. If you've never heard of that, it's this little mountain root vegetable. It's very slimy, and you actually grate it. You can actually just eat this straight the way it is. So if you've never seen it before, that's what it looks like. And it's very sticky and gooey. It tastes really good if you have it with the rice, just white rice with a little bit of shoyu or soy sauce. Or you can put it on soba. I like to put it on soba. Have you guys had yamaimo before? Let me know if you've had yamaimo. This is nagaimo, yamaimo. I think they're interchangeable. It's like a mountain yam, I guess is how it would translate to English. And it looks like Mariana says she's never had Hiroshima style. So maybe on your next trip you can try it out. Okay, so 2 cups of all-purpose flour and about a 1/4 cup of the grated nagaimo. And we're going to add in dashi. So this is the dashi that we made yesterday. This is 1½ cups. And we're just going to let this sit and rest for about 20 to 30 minutes and let everything get absorbed. All the liquid and the flour get absorbed. Some recipes call for baking powder. If you're not using the grated yam, or if you can't find it, you can use a 1/4 cup of milk, and I think it's a ½ teaspoon of baking powder. I'll put that in the recipe, so if you guys don't have this ingredient readily available, that's another alternative that you can use. And you don't want to overmix your batter. So this is called kiji in Japanese. That means batter, and that's what we're making right here. So if you've ever gone to a okonomiyaki-ya-san, or a okonomiyaki shop in Japan, usually they'll do it for you, or you can do it, some places will let you do it yourself, but they don't really mix everything together too much. And the reason, I was watching this Japanese TV show a while ago, The reason that they say that you don't want to over mix your batter is because if you mix everything really well, it's going to eliminate all of the little air pockets inside the batter, and it's not going to cook as well because it's too dense, right? So if there's more air in the batter, the heat's going to penetrate and it's going to travel through the batter a lot easier than if there wasn't any air pockets, because air is less dense than batter. So that was the scientific explanation there. Mariana says that the yamaimo batter or the texture is a little bit strange. I can definitely see how it's a little bit strange. I don't think I liked it the first time I had it when I was little. All right, so see, this is how it looks. It's very clumpy still. I'm just gonna let it rest for a little bit, and then we're gonna add in about a ½ cup's worth of green onions. And this is 4 cups worth of cabbage. I just sliced it very thinly. And then we're gonna throw in, we have the dashi. You can put in agetama, or this is tenkatsu agetama. This is fried dough balls. So they're little crunchy things. You can also put this in like takoyaki, which are little fried dough octopus balls. And I usually put in like a quarter cup or ½ cup. It helps to add a lot of texture. But I don't use too much because it's fried. So try to keep it on the light side there. I also like to put in some white pepper to add a little bit of a spicy kick, and beni shoga. So this is beni shoga. This is sweet pickled ginger. If you've never seen this before, you can actually mix it in or put it on the side. I like to mix it in sometimes. And then, yeah, I think that's everything that I usually use or put in my okonomiyaki. Like I mentioned, you can put whatever you want into it. Today what we're going to be doing is using meat. So I have some beef here. This is just some thinly sliced sukiyaki beef. That's what we're going to be using for the protein. And then once it's almost done, we'll put in some yakisoba noodles. So this is just 1 packet. And I'll tell you, every time I make okonomiyaki with yakisoba, I get like a major food coma. I don't know if that happens to you guys, but I get a major food coma and I get sleepy right away. Yeah, so Mariana's asking what would make a good substitute for yamaimo. Like I said, you can use a ¼ cup of milk with I think a ½ teaspoon of baking powder. So that'll give you the same effect. So what the yamaimo does is it makes it nice and fluffy. So it gives it a fluffy texture. So the baking powder should help you to accomplish that. Okay, so I'm still waiting for my eggs. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, the eggs were supposed to arrive. I think they're here now, but meanwhile, I wanted to make gomaae. Oh, it looks like Judy adds red pepper flakes. Yes, I always add shichimi, or ichimi. Where did I put it? Shichimi and ichimi is the red powder. It's the condiment that looks like this. Ichimi is just 1 pepper, 1 flavor. And then shichimi has several other ingredients mixed in. That's why it's called shichi, which stands for 7. So that helps to add a little bit of a kick. So yeah, you guys got it. You guys know how to make a good okonomiyaki. So these are about a 3/4 pound of green beans that I've trimmed. I was going to make gomaae, which is a sesame seasoned appetizer. It's very healthy, just seasoned with soy sauce, sesame seeds, a little bit of soy mirin, and sugar. So I have 6 tablespoons of black sesame seeds here. So usually use white sesame seeds, but today we're going to be using black. I like the flavor difference. It's a little, I guess it's very subtle. I don't know if you guys have had both white and black sesame seeds before, but there's a little bit of a flavor difference there. And I like to change it up every now and then and use black sesame seeds. I'm just going to toast these. And as soon as they're toasted, we're going to grind them up in my suribachi. Add in some sugar, soy sauce, and mirin, and then we'll be done. So very straightforward, very delicious appetizer. Have you guys had gomaae before? Let me know in the comments. One of my favorite appetizers. You can also use like spinach. You can do spinach gomaae. You can use bean sprouts, some moyashi gomaae. Those are some of the more common ones. So when you're toasting your sesame seeds, that helps the flavor to come out. And I always toast my seeds before I grind them. So I think the flavor is a little bit better. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. So while you were away, yesterday after we finished the show, I did end up making the spinach ohitashi, which is what I have right here. This is a soaked spinach. I just added a little bit of soy sauce and the dashi, and that's what that looks like. So I can put it on a plate later, but I just soaked this overnight. And usually I have a little bit of leftover sauce that I can reuse again for another small batch of spinach, and that's one bunch of spinach, by the way. So in case you were wondering about that. Okay, so in order to make gomaae with the green beans, we're just going to blanch these for about a minute and 30 seconds so that they're still a little bit crunchy, and then we'll shock it with cold water to stop the cooking, and that also helps to preserve the green color. So if you like it super cold, you can also put it into an ice bath after it's done cooking, and that'll bring down the temperature a little bit more. But I actually like it sort of like room temperature, a little bit warm. But in the summertime, I like it a little bit cold. So changes a little bit. Looks like Mariana says she loves green beans, gomaae style. Do you usually make it with white sesame seeds, or have you tried black sesame seeds? Let us know. Okay, so while the water is heating, while the sesame seeds are toasting, what we could do is make the okonomiyaki sauce. So I like to use ketchup and Worcestershire sauce in a 2-to-1 ratio. So we'll do about, let's see. Yes, white sesame seeds do look pretty, I agree. All right, so we'll do 6 tablespoons. I hate these squeeze bottles. If you guys use these ketchup squeeze bottles, like it doesn't come out, and then all of a sudden, like when you squeeze it, it like sprays everywhere. I tell you, you gotta be careful. Because I don't think this one lets you screw off the lid. Some of these lids are not removable. And I've made messes before. There's 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons, 4 tablespoons, 5, and 6. Okay. I have some lemon juice here, which we're also going to add. We'll add in a little bit of honey to make it a little bit sweet, and then Worcestershire sauce. So like I said, I like to use like a 2-to-1 ratio, Worcestershire or ketchup to Worcestershire sauce. So we did 6 tablespoons of ketchup. We'll do 3 of Worcestershire. There's 1, 2, 3. Have you guys ever made your okonomiyaki sauce before? Tastes much better than the bottle, that's for sure. So there's that. We'll put in about 1 tablespoon of honey. You can also use sugar. Oh, sounds like these are cracking. So you got to be careful so that these don't burn. I think I'm going to take them off because they're smoking. Where did my suribachi go? Okay. So I'm going to grind. Actually, before I do that, let's finish making the sauce. Too many things. Okay, I was going to do the honey, right? So about a tablespoon of honey. You can also use sugar if you want. Welcome, Yoriko, to the party. We are just making the okonomiyaki sauce. Good to have you. So like I said, if you like things on the sweet side, use a little bit more. Always taste your sauce. It's like this solidified at the top. You know, a couple years ago, I went on a honey buying binge and I bought like 15 jars of honey. Have you ever bought that many jars of honey in a year? They all taste different too. That's why I bought them. Honey is just like wine. Like depending on where the bees get their pollen, it'll affect the flavor of the honey. I don't know if you guys have noticed that before. All right, there it goes. So that's about a tablespoon. That's enough for me. I don't really like things on the sweet side, especially for my main courses. And then we'll put in about a teaspoon of lemon juice. And then just make sure to mix everything up. If the ketchup is clumpy, see how it's a little bit clumpy? I'll just use a whisk and whisk it. I think I'm gonna actually do that right now. Ooh, Yoriko says she's from Osaka. So that means you must, do you know how to make okonomiyaki Osaka style? Have you ever made okonomiyaki sauce? All right, so this is done. I'm just gonna whisk it. I have my giant whisk here. And at this point, you can just taste it and see how sweet it is. Or if it's not sweet enough, just add in a little bit more sugar and honey. Tastes good to me. Okay, so I'm gonna go check my door. I think my eggs came, and hopefully they came. And then we'll drop in the eggs here, we'll drop in the cabbage. We'll get all that done. Our okonomiyaki sauce is ready to go. We have some katsuobushi flakes to top the okonomiyaki. And we have our aonori right here. We have our tenkasu and our benishoga. And we are just about done making dinner. So not too bad, right? Cooking with dashi is very fun. You can make so many different things with it. Okay. So, have you guys ever used dashi in your okonomiyaki? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to be right back, okay? All right. Amazon Prime. I hope my eggs are in here, because if they're not in here, then I can't make my okonomiyaki. Whew. Eggs, key, very key to the okonomiyaki that we're trying to make. All right. So for this recipe, we're going to use 4 eggs, okay? Okay, so Yoriko says she's never made her sauce, and Judy says she has. So Judy, what kind of sauce did you make? What did you put in your sauce? Let us know what you made it with. So 4 eggs goes into the batter. And then we'll put in the cabbage, the green onions, and mix it all together. And then we'll put it on the pan. All right, so there's 4 eggs. And I'm going to preheat my cast iron because it takes a little bit of time to warm up. And then I like to cook with olive oil, extra virgin olive oil I always use. Adds a little bit of a different flavor than traditional, but if you don't like the olive oil flavor, then just use canola oil. And so my water is boiling. I'm going to go ahead and blanch these green beans that we're going to be using to make the gomaae. Let that go for about 1 minute and 30 seconds, so I'll keep an eye on the clock. Okay, we'll mix in the cabbage. So this is going to be enough for probably like 4 to 5 people, depending on how hungry you are, if you're going to make this. And by the way, I will post the recipe later on. I need to post yesterday's recipes too, so look out for those in the Facebook group. So like I said, you don't want to overmix, just try to incorporate everything and then throw it on the pan. And we'll put in maybe like a 1/4 cup's worth of tenkasu and then a little bit of benishoga. I don't know, do you guys like to put this into the batter or on top of it? Let me know. I'm just gonna put about maybe 2 tablespoons worth. Not too much. Interesting. So Judy says that she's used the same recipe as me. So if you want to see how thick the batter looks, I'll show you. Just breaking open those egg yolks. Have you guys ever had cheese with your okonomiyaki? So good. It's so rich. It makes it so much more rich. I'm actually going to throw in a little bit more green onions and some white pepper. Like I mentioned, I like white pepper. And I think that's it. So this is ready to go on the pan. Oishii desu. Okay, so I think that's just about it. You don't want to be mixing this like I mentioned. If you overmix it, it's not going to cook as well. So just do it enough so that it's incorporated, and then put it on the pan. Okay, so I think my green beans are done. Before we start anything else, let's go ahead and take care of those. Turn down the heat here. This pan is also done. I'm just going to spread the olive oil around easily, or so that it's distributed. The bad thing about using olive oil is that the smoke point is lower, so it always smokes, especially if you're doing something hot. If you're cooking it or preheating it really hot. All right. Do you guys cook this many dishes normally on a weeknight? I usually don't make 3 things, but I felt compelled to today. I usually do 1 thing and then have leftovers from the previous night or something like that. Okay, so this is how nice and bright green our green beans look. If you guys can see right here, they're very bright and green, a little bit firm. They've got a little bit of bite to them, just the way I like them. And we'll just set this aside for a second, and we'll put in some batter. So I usually put in like maybe 1.5 cups worth of batter, and we'll just do it like that. And then I put in the meat on top in like a couple layers, or next to each other, a few slices. So this is sukiyaki beef, so it's cut very thin. If you don't have sukiyaki beef available, just try to cut whatever meat that you're using as thin as possible, because you're going to flip it over and cook it. So there's 1, 2, and 3. So I usually take a peek underneath to see if it's browned or not. And once it's brown, then I'll know that it's time to flip it over. And if you're going to be using yakisoba, like we are today, I usually add the yakisoba noodles after I flip it, and then mix it in. And that's pretty much how I do my okonomiyaki. I don't know if you guys have any tips for me doing it better, faster. If you do, let me know. Like I mentioned, this is enough for about 4 or 5 people, maybe 6 people if you don't eat too much. So Mariana says that she's cooking Italian. She's normally lazy. All the effort goes into Japanese food. Is that because it's hard to make, or why does all the effort go into Japanese food? Is it because it's not as familiar to you? Okay, so you can see the bottom has that nice golden brown color. So in Japanese, they say kitsune no iro. Kitsune no iro. So that means the color of the fox. Kitsune no iro tsuku made. So if you could see right there, I don't know if you could see it very well or not, but that's the color that we're going for. I'm just gonna flip it over. And we'll throw in the yakisoba noodles. So whenever you do yakisoba, you always have to add a little bit of water. Get this going. It smells really good. It smells like beef okonomiyaki. Are you guys getting hungry? I'm getting hungry. Oh yeah, so I should show you while this is finishing up. Let's finish the gomaae. So we just need I need to grab a bowl. So we're gonna mix these green beans with a little bit of soy sauce. So we'll do about a tablespoon of soy sauce, tablespoon of sugar, and a half tablespoon of mirin. So mirin helps add a little bit of umami. So we'll start with the mirin here. Let me wash out my measuring cup. Ooh, yes. Monjayaki. So just make sure that it's not going to burn. Just mix that up a little bit. I'm going to turn off the heat since we're just going to let it sit. So a half tablespoon of mirin, like I mentioned. Should probably use a bigger bowl than this. I'm going to mix it in here. Sorry guys, I used up all my mixing bowls. So Mariana says because Italian food is easy to make. I guess that makes sense. But I feel like Japanese food is easy to make too. Maybe I'm just used to it. Okay, so that was the mirin. So a tablespoon of soy sauce, just regular soy sauce, regular shoyu, and a tablespoon of sugar. And then we can grind up our sesame seeds. So that's done. Do you guys make gomaae with just 3 ingredients? Sugar, shoyu, or soy sauce and mirin? And goma, or sesame seeds? This is kind of like my go-to recipe. The only thing that I really change is the sesame seeds. You can smell this, the beef sizzling. You're silly. Modanyaki. I thought it's called monjayaki or something else. No? So this is the suribachi. If you've never used one of these before, you can just grind all your sesame seeds. I like to do my sesame seeds about halfway. So if you see here, once the sesame seeds start to break, especially the black ones, you'll see that the interior, the white interior will come out. Oh man, this smells so nutty. It's delicious. That's why you gotta toast your sesame seeds. All right, so there's all the sesame seeds, about halfway crushed, so you can see it's a little bit grayish in color. Like you can do it however you like. If you want to do it all the way, you can do that. But if you leave some of the seeds whole, it gives you a little bit more texture. So that's why I do that. Just go ahead and mix this all. So this is a very light side dish, as you can tell. So gomaae. When I was in college, I didn't really make things from scratch very often. I always use like mixes and stuff. So I always used to buy the little gomaae packets. I don't know if you've ever seen those before, but basically it's just a packet of sesame seeds, soy sauce, and sugar, and you just add it to whatever vegetables that you're using. And then I discovered that making it from scratch tastes so much better, so I never went back to those packets ever since. Yes, monjayaki. Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. Yoriko says yakisoba inside okonomiyaki is modanyaki. Monjayaki is different. All right, guys, so this is the gomaae. Like I said, you can always taste it for sweetness, but I don't like things too sweet. See that crunch? That's how you want it, or that's how I like it. I don't know, maybe some of you guys might like your green beans a little bit softer. All right, so let's go ahead and put this on a plate. We have our appetizer, one appetizer. Very healthy. Oops. So here's our ingen kuro gomaae, so black sesame seeds that have seasoned green beans. And I guess I should plate my ohitashi, which if you guys joined a little bit late, you might have missed that. Thank you, I like these plates too. It's hard to find good Japanese plates like this. And I don't really like going into Japan and shopping for it because it's so heavy and fragile. But I got these at Crate & Barrel. They're from Japan. And as soon as I saw them, I knew I had to buy them. So there is the ohitashi. So spinach ohitashi is soaked spinach in dashi and soy sauce. The same dashi that we used yesterday. Very healthy, and it tastes delicious as long as you soak it for at least a couple hours. And then I always top this with a little bit of katsuobushi flakes to give it a little bit of a different, or I guess add a little bit more flavor. So kind of like, let me just put some on here. I don't have very much katsuobushi flakes. I use them all, so I just have the scraps. So sad. Just put a little bit there, like that. Very healthy. So here's the second appetizer. And then let me put the okonomiyaki. I like to put the noodles on the bottom. I don't know about you guys. And you can flip it over if you want the meat on top. Do you guys want the meat on top or the meat on the bottom? Let me know. You guys tell me, and then I will do that. And then I'll top it with the Kewpie mayo and the sauce. And then it'll be dinner time. So not too bad. What time is it? 6:42. So we made 4 dishes in 40 minutes. All right, guys. I'm gonna just flip it. So here's how it looks. Nice and caramelized. So if you've ever heard about the Maillard reaction, or the Maillard reaction, that's what happens when you have food that has been browned. So all of the flavors have been enhanced because there's a little bit of caramelization going on. That's why there's browning in the color. So that adds a lot of flavor. That's what you want to go for. Or that's what I always go for when I cook my meat. Like searing a good steak. That's the Maillard reaction. Caramelization, lots of flavor. Yep, Yoriko said meat on top. That's usually what I do. So let's go ahead and top it with some mayo, Kewpie mayo. I love Kewpie mayo. Have you guys ever made mayo at home from scratch before? That's one of the things that I have on my to-do list, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. So I like my mayo, as you can tell. Otherwise, I wouldn't put so much on. If you don't have Japanese mayo, you can use just regular mayo too. Only a slight flavor difference, but whatever you got, you should use. And we have our sauce. Let me just make some space here. So I don't know if you've seen those like designs where they use like a fork or something to make the okonomiyaki look like it has stripes. I do that sometimes. Just kidding, I don't do that. I just eat it. Yes, Kewpie mayo. All right, I'm just gonna make a big mess here because we're gonna cover it up with some aonori and katsuobushi flakes. I used to be so mesmerized by these katsuobushi flakes when I was a kid because they move when you have like something hot that you put it on top of. They move as if they're alive. So I don't think these flakes, looks like a couple of them are big enough. When it's piping hot, you can see that they're moving, and that's because the steam is just pushing it back and forth. So there's that, and let's top it with some aonori and a little bit of shichimi, and this is going to be my dinner. And I guess if you want to see the miso soup with the yuba, I'll show you that also. So this is like comfort food at its best. This is definitely going to put me to sleep. So I'll go to sleep and sleep well tonight. Man, you guys are staying up so late. It's dedication right there. Here it is, okonomiyaki, yakisoba. Okay, so last thing that we're going to do before we go is the miso soup. Where did my spatula go? Or ladle. So if you guys joined a little bit late, we're making miso soup with yuba. That's what that is, yuba, wakame, and the wakame is the seaweed, and green onion. So that's my dinner, guys. So here's my miso soup, my ohitashi, my green beans, and my okonomiyaki. These really don't go together. I mean, if you go to like a okonomiyaki-san, or okonomiyaki-san, they just serve you this. They don't really serve you all this other stuff. But I wanted to get my vegetables in, so that's why I decided to make it. And plus I needed some other things to use my dashi for, since we're doing a dashi challenge. Lamia says she wouldn't mind having this for breakfast. Maybe one day we'll be able to teleport things across the earth. That would be so much fun. Imagine going to Japan in like a flash. I'd love that. Do it all the time. All right, guys, so appreciate you guys tuning in. I think tomorrow we're gonna do another few dishes with dashi. Maybe just 2. I think 4 was a little bit much today, so I hope you're not overwhelmed. I hope this is a little bit inspirational or educational. It's always good watching somebody cook, right? Because they always do things different than you do. I love watching other people cook. I always learn something. That's going to be it for today. Appreciate you guys watching. And like I said yesterday, jane, matane. I'll see you tomorrow. And thanks for tuning in. I'll post the recipes from today and from yesterday on the Facebook group so you guys can try them out yourself.